Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Says preparing, setting up webinar. Good evening. My name is Jay Rothman, and we are live from Spirituality Gone Wild. Welcome to the show. I have a special guest on this evening. Her name is Melanie Procter. Melanie, welcome to Spirituality Gone Wild.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so honored that anybody want to talk to me while I just sit around my home on a Wednesday night.
I'm at my home too, so it's all good. We're in a comfortable space, and while we're just taking a few minutes here to set up our studios here, I'd like to push this out to our different pages. Hold on one second while I get that going here. And for those of you that are here, welcome to Spirituality Gone Wild. This is a special edition this evening. And the reason that we are live tonight is because I have been on a 13-day fast right now, a water fast primarily. And I wanted to have the opportunity to bring on some individuals, other people that have either experience with long-term fasting and or short-term fasting, because I've got a lot of people in my community. Most support what I am doing. I just hit my end of my 13th day. I'm in my 14th day right now, and as of 5:30 this afternoon. And there's a lot of people with a lot of questions and a lot of concerns and a lot of fear about, like, how could you live without whole foods for more than a day or two? And so here we are coming up on 2 weeks, and I have not had any whole foods, and there's a lot of good things going on. I have not shared, I've been sharing live from Pinnacle Peak, which is a mountain top. I had been hiking up until very recently, like the last 4 days. And I stopped hiking from Pinnacle Peak because, at least for now, I found that it was taking too much energy from me, and I wanted to make sure that I had enough energy to get through my day. And so I decided to just do something a little different. And I was going to the pool and use some type of floating device that I'm able to, like, literally just kick and use my arms and get some basic gentle exercise, water aerobics in the pool. It's not as extreme right now as hiking, but right now I'm listening to my body. My body was saying, slow down, just do a different type of exercise. And so that's why I haven't been coming live from the peak, and I haven't been coming live because I just wasn't in a place where I felt like I wanted to. So I've just been putting out some quick pushes through Facebook, but I'm doing well. My blood pressure, which day one, I took it from my typical high at 4 in the afternoon. It was already down in normal range. I usually take my pill at nighttime. I didn't take it that night. The next morning I woke up and my blood pressure was like 90/66. And it then came back up to a little bit more of a mid-range, around 116/67. And it's been very consistent. No matter what time of the day I take my pressure, I take it about 3 times a day. It's been consistent all throughout. And this has been, it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot about myself as I've gone through it. One of the things I thought was gonna happen was that I was going to actually lose a pound a day, because that's what all the research and all the documentaries and articles and studies that I've read. The average person loses a pound a day on a long-term water fast. And I was losing a pound a day, but then my body seemed to kind of level out. And in the last 4 days, I haven't lost a pound, which is exactly what was my intuition had told me in advance is probably what was going to happen. I was hopeful for that, because when I started the fast, I was at 42, Melanie. And
Wow.
if you do the quick calculation, if I do full 30, that would put me at about 111 pounds. And that I would, I'm sure, I know I already look a lot, thinner, and without my shirt on, some people may question what's going on. Do I have an eating disorder? But no, I'm in a place where I'm looking to heal my physical diagnoses that I had. So that's what I got. I'm doing well. I've got, I'd say, very moderate energy most days. Some changes that I've noticed for myself. My clarity, my thinking is, for the most part, way more sharper than it had been prior. And that's because my brain is also going through a healing process. It's a vital organ, as we all know. And so my brain is kind of rebuilding itself. It's rebuilding with new stem cells, and all the cells and whatever is going on is happening. It's happening. My energy level is, from a motivational standpoint, is greater. I have more energy to get, let's say, work done during the day. So I've been putting in about 6 hours a day doing work projects, taking care of my clients, and working on a special project as well. The other thing is, I noticed that when I get a cut or just a simple abrasion, it would turn into about a month and a half infection because of the blood thinners that I'm on. I presumed it was because of the blood thinner that I'm on. However, I got a cut up my hands. When I say cuts, I'm talking about just skin scrapes that turn into major infections and major cuts. They just grow. And I got that 3 weeks ago when I relocated here, and it's healed. I mean, I couldn't believe it. The scab actually just fell off today. It was dried out and fell off like a normal scab without infection. And so those are just some of the subtle changes. I know there's more. I don't recall in this moment what they are. For me, it's starting to get late. It's after 6 here, and this is when my energy level does start to go down. But in any event, I'm so excited to have you on. I was introduced to you by one of the co-founders of Spirituality Gone Wild, Miss Debbie Garcia. She said, you know what, you've got to have Melanie on. She's not doing a long-term fast. She may not have done one, but she is got experience in intermittent fasting, and she owns a health retreat today called Phuket Cleanse in Thailand.
Yes.
And when we spoke a few days ago, I was excited to have you on because I had started intermittent fasting about 8 months ago, not knowing that was preparing me for this long-term fast. But boy, did it ever prepare me. I came into it already having adjusted my digestive system, and I believe that helped me navigate through the first week or so of this long-term fast. And so at this point, what I'd like to do is really open it up to you and ask you to just share a little bit about your background. That, I think most people in the United States would be intrigued. I thought that when she said, and from Thailand, that you were going to be Thai. And here you are as American looking as they come.
Yeah, right.
So it's like, why in Thailand, and why a health retreat where you actually do cleansing? I think you guys focus on 3 or 4 day juicing cleanses. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what led up to that, and a little bit about your health, how it was and how it is since you started intermittent fasting, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Well, I'll just try to fast forward and just say that, I've always been into I was in another industry my whole life and lived overseas since 1992. I lived in Asia. I lived in Korea and China since 1992. So I naturally traveled to Thailand all the time for vacation, for winter vacation. So that's why Thailand was like a second home for me. So it's not an unusual thing for me to start a business in Thailand, because like I say, that was a second home. But I got into, I was into the whole raw food scene for a long time. And then I got into juice fasting when I lived in China. And I got into it as I was moving to China. And you might think it's nothing to move from Korea to China, but if you don't speak Chinese and you don't know China, it's very complex to move by yourself to China if you have absolutely nobody helping you. You try to drop yourself in the middle of China, and have a move there and try to figure everything out and set your house up and not be able to communicate with anybody, not know anybody. And that was sort of my, that was what I was doing. I was in the process of this move when I was doing my juice cleanse. It was only 11-day juice cleanse. But I got dropped into China and everything was difficult, as it would be. And then I noticed the longer I got into my juicing, just my cleanse, things just started to kind of come to me. I seemed to be manifesting what I needed to start my house, or manifesting the right people at the right time, as opposed to going through the step-by-step process of getting somewhere. So typically, if you want to like get something for your house, you go in the internet or somewhere, or you go ask somebody, where do I buy this? And then you go try to buy it. And then maybe it's not there. You go to the next store, you try to get it. And it's like kind of drudgery, you work. But I noticed it started like that. But then the longer I was just on juice, things would just appear. I would just think, I need to get this thing for my house. And then I'd walk down the street and those things were there. And I'm like, well, this is weird. It seems that fasting causes us to develop what the yogis would call siddhis, S-I-D-H-I-S, or in Christianity, they would be called the gifts of the spirit. And if you might want to look up the word siddhis. I was actually looking it up tonight. What are the promises of yoga? And this is not about yoga, it's about juice cleansing, but it seems to go hand in hand. So if you progress and you do yoga step by step and you follow the eightfold pathway of yoga, you're supposed to develop, ability to manifest. You're supposed to lose some earthly desires and not be as hungry. I can't remember what all of the 9 or 10 siddhis are that are in yoga, but I mean, same in Christianity. We have the gifts of the spirit. You can develop the gifts of speaking in tongues and probably other things, right? So every religion has a gift of the spirit. But I noticed when I was juice cleansing or water fasting, these kind of gifts would start to emerge. And sometimes I wonder if that's why so many religious traditions have long-term fasting, because it does help to bring about the gifts of the spirit. And probably that's how long-term fasting stayed fashionable within a religion, because why would you do it unless those gifts, some sort of gifts, would start to emerge? So that's why I did it. I didn't have any health problems. I was just cleansing. I think I wanted to lose a little bit of weight. I think that's why I did it. I wanted to lose a little bit of weight. But then it became about becoming like I would say a more ascended type human. And that was just really fascinating to live in that way. So, and China was a great place to see this unfold, because everything was so hard to acquire in a country where I didn't speak the language or have any connections or any help or support. So it was a great place for this all to happen. And I knew I wanted to start some kind of cleansing facility. And I ended up starting it in Thailand, when we started off just doing a juice cleanse retreat, and then it became juice cleanse and raw foods and fitness. And then eventually it's become a little bit of everything: juicing, raw foods, fitness diet. And basically now we are there just to meet people where we're at, where they're at. So if one person comes to me and it's right for them to be on a juice cleanse, then we'll put them on a juice cleanse. If it's right for them to be on a fitness diet because they're needing to develop muscle, their heart wants them to do more fitness, then we'll put them on a fitness diet, or a mix of both. But we're also really into intermittent fasting, and that is funny. Strangely enough, I was never into water fasting until this year. And I started, I had some gut issues this year. I felt really bad, and I noticed when I was doing intermittent fasting, giving myself a 24-hour water fast every day, roughly 24 hours. Like I would have dinner around 7 p.m. every night, or sometimes 8 or sometimes 6, but always try to do approximately 24 hours. I felt much better and functioned much better. And if I ever really needed energy because I had to work late or give talks, then I would definitely fast my way into it. So I was doing it for the purpose of energy. And then I would start doing more, like I would do this every day, every single day, 24-hour fasts. And then I'd started doing most every day, 24-hour fast, but at least 2 or 3 days a week, do 48-hour or 72-hour fasts. So it came to where I didn't eat very much. I lived, it wasn't like for me, fasting is not a temporary thing. I'll do 10 days every once in a while. It's something that I do chronically, daily.
It's a lifestyle. Basically, what you're describing, it's just a lifestyle that you've chosen.
Yeah, I love, and then the funny thing is people say, well, do you not like food? Well, no, I mean, the thing about it is when you intermittent fast every day, when you eat, the food is so vibrant, it tastes so delicious, and you appreciate the meal. And what I really love about it is, I do think about food during the day, and I carefully all day plan exactly what I'm going to eat. Like I wouldn't just go, I would never think to pull into a drive-through and grab a meal. Like it becomes sacred, and you plan every nutrient you're going to have, and you plan that the meal is glorious and fitting and suitable towards you. And you think of food in such a special, sacred way, because you have waited 24 hours for that meal, and it means something, and you're going to do it right because it's going to be another 24 hours before you eat again. So I find definitely it helps with so many things. It helps to maintain your weight, never a weight problem, of course. It helps self-control, it helps energy, it helps with your self-definition. But now I don't do necessarily 24-hour water fasts every day. Some days I do juice cleanses, and then some days I do water fast, but that's because I'm in America. Like, I don't know, just America's, I live a little bit of a different lifestyle than I would in my cleansing retreat. So yeah, that's a different sort of thing. I would say most intermittent fasters, they like to they just skip breakfast, and then they eat at 1 or something like that, 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And then some of them do fat fasting, which is very interesting. I've had good luck with fat fasting. I don't enjoy it. So that would be where you're doing like MCT oil or brain octane oil instead of food. Now, what I found when I do fat fasting and I'm fasting on MCT oil, first of all, you get a lot of gastric distress from it. Because you just try to drink oil, it causes you to have diarrhea, it could cause you to vomit. It's oil. It doesn't just show up in nature where you could just drink it. In nature, it usually comes with some protein. So when you do fat fasting, for me and my clients who do fat fasting, I usually like to mix the fat, whether it's MCT oil or brain octane oil. I try to mix it with psyllium husk, so it comes with like a fiber that will prevent it from causing so much gastric distress. That's something I developed so that people could do fat fasting without getting sick. Because when I did fat fasting, I had wonderful gains. I made a lot. Your body makes a lot of energy. It's not hard on the body. The body can really heal because it's producing so much energy. But what I don't like about fat fasting is you don't lose the desire to eat. So like you do a 24-hour fast of water, and the desire for food will eventually go away because you've shut down your digestive system. You're not hungry. But when you fat fast or juice fast, you are calorie restricted and you still are craving food. So I find it really hard to juice fast, and I find it really hard to fat fast compared to water fasting. Water fasting is the easiest fasting because the hunger goes away. Like I could drink these beautiful juices all day and still think about food and be hungry, even though, you would think I wouldn't be so hungry. So, there's another thing that I've started recently is that you can get fat fasts with fat powders. So it's like a MCT oil powder. That's kind of interesting to get an MCT oil powder. It seems like it's less hard on the stomach than drinking oil. You can also get ketones. I don't know if you know what that is. You can get ketone esters, it's called. And that can be a supplement while you're fasting. But some of these things that I mentioned, like doing MCT oil or MCT oil powder or ketone powder while you're fasting, does have some nice benefits, but is a little bit harder. So yeah,
You had mentioned that you had some gut problems that
yeah,
came up to you. I believe that that happened due to some travels,
yes.
different countries, and you picked something up. How has the intermittent fasting and or when you do the actual water fasting, how has it improved or stabilized or not? Has it changed
Yeah,
your gut issue?
it's definitely improved. It's definitely improved. Have I reversed it? I don't know. I think I have a situation going on that's probably a little challenging to reverse. And I need to probably do a few more things um, that I'm doing. I have to say I'm probably not doing everything right. I'm not perfect. I do a lot of things right, but I do some things wrong. And I think I need to do a little more right to really reverse the gut issue. I mean, we can talk about what if people on your show have gut issues. That's something I could talk about extensively, even though I haven't, because one of these things, to be honest with you, one of the things that's really right to reverse gut issues is taking collagen protein and taking, which you probably heard of, taking bone broth. These are typical ways of reversing gut issues because that collagen that you're getting from the collagen protein or you're getting from bone broth allows you to rebuild the collagen in your gut lining. My gut lining really had a lot of destruction from picking up bugs from my travels, and I never really repaired that gut lining. And the problem is I just I'm so used to living so light on juices and liquids and vegetarian diet that I don't enjoy taking protein. I don't enjoy taking bone broth. Like it doesn't match my vibe of liquids and juices and this light lifestyle. So eh, yeah, so maybe I just need to suck it up and do it and I can really reverse my gut issues, but you might find this in yourself also once you get kind of addicted to this lifestyle of living light on liquids, that you just don't want the heavy dense proteins or heavy dense things.
It's interesting you say that because leading up to uh, my day one, I think it was the last 3 or 4 days. What I ate, my typical meal would be as an intermittent faster. I wouldn't have breakfast. My first meal would be a power smoothie,
Yeah.
sometime between 11 and noon, and that was just all power greens, as well as ginger, turmeric, um,
Yes.
and then my fruit would be strawberries and blueberries,
Yes.
lemon, and some avocado in there, and a little bit of green or a red apple, preferably green,
Yeah.
is what I've learned. And then my next meal I was doing soup. My
Yeah.
next meal was dinner time, and I was soup. And by 6 o'clock we were done, and so I wasn't. I was doing from not eating from 6 p.m. until 12 noon the next day. But
Yeah.
again, the point is that I had really come down light. Leading up to that, I had pretty much gone vegan about 90%, 95. The only thing that was not was wild caught fish like a
Yeah.
halibut or a salmon. um, once a week, maybe chicken.
Mm.
But here's the but. When I come off my long fast, which is going to be a process, it's not. I'm starting the education process on what that protocol is going to look like. I
Yeah.
have some time until I get there, as far
Mm.
as until I'm
Yeah.
ready to come off the fast. So, but it's a
Yeah.
process. It's not like I'm done and we break bread and I'm back to eating full meals. I believe I'm going to start with juicing and then
Yeah.
start to slowly integrate different foods, whole foods.
Mhm.
However, the conscious decision that I've made for myself is when I come off this fast, I'm going to be 100% vegan. And
Yeah.
I'm starting to get a cousin of mine from New York sent me some recipes, and of course, there's a whole plethora of recipes. They're all over the place. There's so many different ways
Yes.
to put flavor into a vegan-based nutritional lifestyle.
Yeah.
I consciously didn't call it a diet because it's not a diet. It's just the way I'm going to live.
Yeah.
And until it doesn't feel right or it doesn't feel good, if there's an issue or something that pops up, I'll address it then. It's
Yeah.
about listening to our bodies. It's about paying attention. It's about not missing the
Yeah.
signposts. It's about listening and feeling and acknowledging any shifts or anything that we're feeling, whether it be deep within or on the surface. Just paying attention and then taking the next indicated step to do what is best for you, reaching out to people that know more than you do.
Yeah.
So where I wanted to go with that is, here's the end of that is, I'm really excited about it. Right now I haven't had whole food in almost 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks while I'm really there now. When I wake up, I'll call it day 14. I've actually watched some YouTube videos of some people that have said, like, once you do this fast, like every time you eat a meal, every bite you put in your mouth, you just savor it. The experience is unlike anything you've had before, because I used to be a slow eater until I had my 3 sons. And then when they were babies, we ate really quick because we wanted to eat before they would wake up. And I never lost that bad habit. And I am so looking forward to just eating slowly and enjoying the texture, the aroma, the experience, and I don't know, from what I understand you never go back, you never forget. And especially since I don't intend on not doing some type of fasting in the future, not that I want a future trip right now, but it's just a lifestyle, like what you have embraced and what is part of you, just who you are today, your being. It's just a different way to live. It's a healthier way to live. I'd like you to spend just a few minutes here sharing how you ended up buying Phuket Cleanse in Thailand, or if it was an existing business or you developed it. Share a little bit about that and what it is that you guys offer at the Cleanse.
Yeah, well, we, I mean, when we went to Thailand, we knew we wanted to do this. And actually what happened was one day I was meditating in the afternoon, and I saw this like a logo, a vision of a logo. It's a really weird logo. So I said to my husband at the time, let's get on the motorbike and go off looking for this logo. I know if I find it, I'll know that's the place we need to get. Well, we didn't get very far. We only went down the street a few minutes, and then there was this gym that had a bar, like it could potentially be a juice bar, and it had the logo. It's a very weird logo. It's like a picture of an alien. And so we went in and we asked the guy if he was selling his place. He didn't have a sign in front of or anything. And he was like, yeah, I just so happened to be selling it. And he told us what he was selling it for. And it was a ridiculous astronomical amount of money. And so we just left. And I said, don't worry, he'll call back. I mean, like, I saw this, I know this is where we're going to be. And a few months later, he called and said he has to leave town quickly and he would take whatever for it. So we got it, and it was just a gym, and I used to teach raw food cooking classes there to kind of get us started at this gym. And then I started putting people on cleanses, and eventually we were able to move into a retreat center, to a resort within 6 months of opening. So yeah, that was in like 2010.
And how has it been? How has it been for you? And like, do you find reward? Or do you feel, is it a business for you, or on some level, do you feel like you're giving back to
Well,
people?
now it's a community. Like it's a community, and it's really mindy, body, spirit, mind, body, spirit. And that first of all, we have the best gym fitness program you can imagine. It's everything, every choice you'd ever want to have in terms of picking out workouts or fitness classes that you would like to take. And then um, from the perspective of education, we have all kinds of nutrition classes and cooking classes, and it's very mind based. If you're the type of person who really likes a left brain approach, and then we have the whole spiritual community and the meditation program and the healers and all that. So we have everything anybody'd want. And our goal is to meet people where they're at. So if you walk in and you want just fitness and education, we can be that for you. If you want spirituality and a bit of fitness, we can be that for you. I mean, we can craft whatever program you want. We can get really far out, we can get very logical and mainstream.
How many people can stay at the retreat at any given time?
I would say, like, like we only have 30 rooms, so it's
Okay.
a small retreat, but if people come as couples or friends or that type of thing, then we could probably we can get a lot more people in.
I met a woman who's in my community now, uh, and she actually commented on one of my posts this week that she was so excited that you were going to be on.
Oh,
She said
so sweet.
she actually has a reservation to come spend time, and she's excited to meet you personally.
Ah,
Um, that brings me to when I started this journey. I actually started it 36 months ago. It's coming up
wow.
on October 15th will be 3 years ago that I hit my rock bottom.
Oh,
And um, at some point last July, a year ago July, the divine spoke to me and said, you need to really start to share your journey with others because there's so much that I have tackled and so much, I'd say, courage that it took to make a lot of changes in my life.
mm,
Not just on the physical side, but I had to repair what I refer to as the four pillars. There's the emotional, there's the mental, there's the physical, and the spiritual.
mm.
And I was broken on all four. So there's a lot of healing that needed to take place. And so I slowly started to um, get inspired to just start to blog, right?
Ah,
As I was riding along the beach, along my healing journey every morning, when I get inspired, when something would pop from within, some wisdom, I just pull over on my bike, my 7-speed beach cruiser, and
mm.
just start typing on my little iPhone. And I then said, I need to push this out. And that was the beginning of me sharing my healing journey in a very public manner.
Oh,
And um, and then the next opportunity that came up was meeting Deb Garcia, who invited me on her show as a co-host 3 times, I believe. And then she shared, you need to start your own show. Uh,
oh, how
I
wonderful.
shared with her what my idea was, Real Men, Real Talk Raw, where it's a platform for men to come on and be their authentic, vulnerable, honest, truthful self, sharing their story of triumph, their story of personal triumph, whatever that might be.
Oh,
Um,
awesome. That's
some
great.
are, and it's a full spectrum of why we all have a triumph that we've had to overcome, a challenge. And then when I decided to do this fast, it was very interesting because so many of American society, and I'm speaking because I can't speak for people on the international side of this community that we're in, uh, are not that familiar with fasting of any sort, other than for, let's say, a religious holiday, uh, for faith reasons. But as far as juicing or long-term, very, very limited experience and knowledge is present in the
Yeah.
general population. And so a lot of people that don't understand it come from strictly a place of what I'll say is fear and concern, and just genuine concern, like they're afraid that something's going to go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that, but I've also had people comment personal PMs to me that say, I've read some of the posts that are coming through, and this is why I keep mine very private, because I
Mm.
don't want to deal with people coming at me, giving me their opinions when I didn't ask.
Yeah. People get very upset about fat. When people start fasting, people get really upset.
But here's what I know is this. This is my truth tonight. For the few people in my community, now between my own community and Spiritually Gone Wild, we've got over 6,000 people that are in our community combined. And combined, if I tell you that I've had less than a handful, maybe 4 or 5 people that have come at me, not, and I'd say in the most supportive way, not in a loving way, but it's just the way they know how to do it. You know, saying I'm concerned, be careful, whatever the words are, it's irrelevant. I know that they mean well. I know that some of them may be coming from a Western medicine background. They're educated in Western medicine, and that's their schooling. And they only understand one thing. They only have what I say, their perspective is their perspective, but it's somewhat limited because it's Western medicine. And there's a whole nother world out there.
Yes.
That I entered into that has taken me out of what I'll refer to as the matrix.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a whole nother world. There's a whole nother way to heal. If we want to heal minor, acute, minor, chronic, or major chronic diseases. And there's a lot of scientists that are out here doing studies that are learning a lot. And there's been a lot of growth and a lot of success stories of people that have healed minors and people that have healed majors, including autoimmune, cancer, diabetes. Mm-hmm. And so it's my job, as part of me learning how to take care of myself, to not rely on doctors to tell me what's right for me, not to rely on doctors to tell me what pharmaceuticals will help manage the symptoms.
Yeah.
But they don't have any cure for the diagnoses that I was given. And so when I made the decision to go and get educated and learn as much as I can about what my other choices and options might be, it opened up a whole new world. And it's just like hit all at once. It's just been an amazing, beautiful experience, because today in our community, I don't know how many countries are tuning in or catching us live or on replay, but we're probably easy 50 countries. I got people from all over the world today that are following me, following my journey, and they are participating. And the best part of all this is this: for the 4 or 5 that are the naysayers, mm-hmm. I've got hundreds of people on a daily basis that just are very much part of the process and the journey, and coming from a different perspective. And I've had, that I'm aware of, probably close to 7 people that have joined in and jumped onto some type of fasting right now with me. It's almost like when someone that you know, a friend or a family member, is diagnosed with cancer, and they start treatment, and a bunch of their close friends decide, in support of, they're going to shave their head.
Yeah.
It almost kind of feels like the same way. But for me, it's like, if what I'm sharing in such a public way brings me 4 or 5, what I'll say, negative energy, and I get hundreds of positive energy, including people that go, you know what, you are inspiring me. You have given me a new perspective, a new way to consider that I possibly can get well. I possibly can get off these meds. I possibly can have a new way to live my life of inner peace, joy, and bliss with great health. And I'm willing to give this a shot. And so I've had people PM me and say, can you share whatever knowledge you have gathered so I don't have to start from ground zero? And I've been happily doing that. I push out the different documentaries that I have watched. And this experience, just in that alone, brings me chills.
Of course.
Well, because that's why I'm doing it in the first place. I'm open book. I'm being authentic. I'm being honest. I'm being real. Even when things don't go so well, and I share my setbacks. I've had a few today. Well, I don't know about today, but a month ago I had 100% occluded bypass in my leg. I was told that I should have no blood pressure going down in my ankles. But I do today. I've got my last test, they determined I had 70% blood flow going down to my toes. And it's because of the work that I've done, not because of the work the doctors did. The doctors put in a bypass, and a bypass should have lasted 10 years. And it 100% occluded, which means it's 100% blocked as of sometime between November and June of this year. And I have built a collateral of new vessels to fuel the blood flow down to my ankles. They've determined that I've got at least 2 that they could see on my leg. And they've acknowledged that my left artery for my heart, which is 49% occluded, they actually determined that I've got new vessels, collateral vessels for my heart as well. And so there's where the hope comes in, is that if we are just determined and willing, and we are willing to do whatever it takes to get well, we can get well. We just have to get educated and understand what options are out there, and then just start to listen to the signposts within. Listen to the wisdom, listen to the intuition that comes from within, not from up here. Because up here is where fear comes from. This is where we go, oh man, I got this life, I've got this incurable autoimmune disorder, this blood disorder. Because that's what they say. That's what the Facebook website says about my disorder, the disorder that I was assigned. But I no longer have that disorder as far as I'm concerned, because I'm healing it. And it may take me 30 days in this fast. I may go longer. I may go 40. I may go 50. I may go as long as I have to go until I'm 100% healed. And I'm announcing that right here, right now. And if it means that I have to stop because my body says it's time, then I'll stop. But if some of my diagnoses are still present, they're not all healed, maybe I get 50% of them, maybe I nail 80%, 90%, maybe I do 100, I don't know. But if for some reason I'm out there, I'll jump back in and do another long fast when wisdom speaks to me and it tells me it's time to do it again.
Yes.
But I'm just excited because I get to share this with community. I get to share with people that I've just kind of maybe hit their bottom, and they're desperate. They're looking for help, and they're not getting the help. Western medicine is not providing them with answers. They're providing them with pharmaceuticals, which then trip up their bodies and cause all new havoc, all new problems to unfold. And I was one of those guys. I was a pharmaceutical junkie. I was a pill popping junkie. That's what I did for 54 years of my life. I love pharmaceuticals. But I think it contributed to part of my damage, internal damage.
Yeah.
And so, here I am. One thing I want to chat a little bit about is when we met on the phone a couple of days ago, you had mentioned something to me. Share with the audience. Oh, by the way, before we go there, I am so sorry, audience, community. Thank you for joining us on the live. If you're not live, you could always catch us on a replay. It doesn't matter that you're here now or you're here later. It's just that you show up sometime or another when it works for you. If you like what you're hearing, please hit like. If you love what you're hearing, hit love. I see comments are coming in after the show. I will work hard to answer your questions. Thank you for joining us both tonight. And if there's any questions, Melanie can pop on a replay and she can answer them as well. But I'd like you to share, Melanie, how our conversation turned. You brought someone up to me. Share a little bit about that part of the conversation.
Well, I don't know much about long-term fasting. And I think that there should be experts out there that are medical professionals that just know all the signs to look for, that understand and respect fasting and aren't monitoring because they want to stop somebody from fasting, but they want to support someone fasting, but also be able to step in case of an emergency. And because you're doing long-term fasting, I didn't feel qualified at all to discuss that with you. I'm happy to talk about intermittent fasting, but not long-term fasting. So I mentioned there is one doctor that wrote a book on long-term fasting named Jason Fong, and that would be a good expert. I would say anybody wanting to get into fasting and want to know all the ins and outs and all the answers to the questions about fasting should get his book. But I mentioned a particular doctor named Dr. Q, who I know from the field of medicine because he specializes in a whole new thing called deuterium depleted water, which people will learn on your show next week when he comes on. I'm not even going to try to explain it because this is like the biggest thing in health and medicine now. And we're so lucky that you're going to have the best expert on it who has a whole clinic based on this. But though he's an expert on this type of water that his clinic actually prescribes, he's also a cancer doctor. And in addition, he just did a 70-day fast. So it's like he's the perfect one to support somebody like yourself or anybody doing long-term fasting, and also anybody with disease, because he's all over it. So I really, you called him up and you just asked him to be on the show, and I couldn't believe it because he's a really respected guy in medicine. I thought you'd have to wait in line with everybody else that wants to talk to him. So he's going to be on next week, and I get to come on too, you said, and I'm very excited because I'll be able to ask him questions because I've really respected his work.
So yeah, that's exactly how it went, and so I'll touch base on him a little bit. As you said, Dr. Q is his name. He's a leading scientist when it comes to developing and applying nutrition and metabolic therapies to treat cancer in people and pets. He is the co-founder and principal investigator of Signature Health Metabolic Clinic, the first clinic in the world to use deuterium and tracer technologies to describe and follow the health status of patients with metabolic disorders such as cancer, diabetes, and autoimmune disorders. And that's what piqued my attention because I've got the autoimmune, I had diabetes, I reversed it to pre, and now I'm considered not diabetic, but my glucose levels, my A1C is in a normal range, my glucose level in health has still hovered around 103. Yeah. So part of my healing is I want to get that down. But one of the things that has happened on this journey of 30-day fasting is that my spiritual mentor and I had a conversation the other day. The last day I took a hike. He called me. I was on my decline. I had my sandals off. I was walking barefoot down the Pinnacle Peak, about 1,500 feet barefoot on the trail. Mm-hmm. Grounding is what that's called, earthing or grounding. Mm-hmm. And he called me, and I was like, Dwayne, can I call you back when I get down to the bottom of the mountain? And I said, because I haven't finished up my prayer and meditation. And he said, sure. And then something told me just to stay on the phone with him and let that moment be what it was to be. And so he joined me on my hike down the mountain. And, it was a beautiful experience.
Yeah. Wow. So you're really, you're doing some great things. And again, as I started this conversation, I was saying that I got into fasting because I found that it took us to magical places. And the fact that you've got this Dr. Q coming on, who I thought the whole world's waiting in terms of the medical community to talk to and listen to and ask questions to, you got him coming on right when you're in the middle of this fast. So I'm just super excited about that next week. And I think it also proves that when you get into a fasted state, you get into a magical version of yourself.
That's where I was going with this, is that what I have experienced is this heightened level of, I call it laser focus, but it's really not. It's a heightened level of, I think, just awareness, consciousness, mindfulness, and courage. Mm-hmm. Because through having the courage to even embark on this potential journey, it took me a year to have the courage to start this journey. Mm-hmm. I knew about it because a close friend of mine, who is now my spiritual mentor, who self-healed from prostate cancer, through a 30 to 40-day fast, water fast, and then he went vegan. He's 5 years since his diagnosis.
Wow.
What's happened is through this fast, I've just got courage to do things that I didn't have the courage to do before. I knew about that I was going to have to do this fast at some point. I knew that at some point I was going to peak in my healing, and which I believe I had through the work I was doing at the beach. But I needed to take it to the up level, the next level, which was leave what I knew was really where it all began. All of the miracles unfolded there, and come to the mountains of Arizona where I can complete my healing. When I say complete, the healing process of healing my diagnoses. But what's happened is through this process of this fast, is that I have somehow developed courage, unlike I didn't know I had. So for me to reach out to Dr. Q, it's just like, okay, I'll reach out. What's the worst thing he could say is no. If I don't ask, I won't get a yes. And so I did that. I reached out. I sent him, I sent an email to his office. I invited him on a show, and I explained what I'm in the middle of doing. And less than 24 hours later, I got a response from his assistant, and she said, Dr. Q would love to come on your show. And can we have a conversation in the next day or two? He'd like to talk and get to know you. And we did that this morning, and it was a beautiful exchange of conversation. And he's going to be on a show next Tuesday night, October 2nd at 6 p.m. And this guy, the reason I'm going to let him tell his story, I don't want to tell his story, but I'm honored and I'm privileged and I'm humbled that Dr. Q is willing to come on. And I'm also excited because the same day I put that invite out, I have been tracking a documentary called Heal Documentary that Kelly Noonan-Gores had. She's a filmmaker. She put this movie together. It's called Heal Documentary. You could still rent it or buy it on healdocumentary.com. And I've been staying close to that since I saw it in the movie theaters. And then I bought the DVD. Saw it twice in the theater. It was on limited showings as a documentary in Santa Monica, California. And then I just started communicating with her because of my circumstances. And, wisdom spoke on the same day I put it out to Dr. Q. And she's like, you know what? I just said to myself, I think I need to put myself out there to Kelly. And I just put myself out there and I said, look, I know you do a lot of interviews with people that have healed or are healing. I would be willing to, do an interview with you. And then I PM'd her that. And then less than 30 seconds later, Wisdom spoke to me and said, and I put it out there. I said, well, better yet, I'd like to have you on my show to share your story. What led you to, what was going on with you that you got inspired? Because she doesn't have a medical background. Mm-hmm. What inspired her to put together this big film that's now an international film. And she responded to me a couple hours later and said, I've got an idea. I'd like to come on your show, but I would like you to come on my show too. So I want to do both. And so she's in the middle of just completing her book. She's writing her book. She's almost got the manuscript completed. She said she's really trying to stay focused on that. So we're going to get together in November is the goal to exchange and be on each other's shows. And there's another one, I would never have had the courage to put myself out there and just ask, would you be willing to somebody that, because it's our own thinking that says we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're whatever it is we're not enough of, that prevents us from having the courage to just do the things in life that we're passionate about.
Yes.
What Dr. Q said to me today is, he said, I'll tell you why I'm coming on your show. He said, because it's all about educating people. It's about educating people that they can, the more education we have, the more knowledge is power. Yes. And then we're not so limited in our what we think our options are in life.
Yes.
And I said, exactly. That's why I do the shows that I do, is because I want to help educate people. I want to bring knowledge and truth and my own personal experience of what unfolds along this journey to other people, to help other people. And Melanie, that's what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You do that at your retreat. Mm-hmm. So if people are in the United States and they're in a space where they've got some, let's say, minor, acute, or they just want to change their health, how do they get hold of you? How do they get hold of your site?
Yeah, just come to the Phuket Cleanse. They should just go to the Phuket Cleanse website, which is PHUKET cleanse.com. and they go to the website, and it tells all about the program on there, and they can just email. So yeah, you know, this is a crazy thing. I realize I left the stove on right before I came. Do you mind if I just step over and turn my stove off for a second?
Not at all. Go ahead.
I'm sure you can entertain everybody. I just realized that when I heard the phone ring or something, I came running, and I left the stove on this whole time. Give me
No
just
worries.
a, you don't mind.
No worries. We'll let it come back. So in any event, we're going to wrap up very quickly here. We're coming up on almost on an hour. I would like to thank those of you that joined us live tonight, and those that catch us on a replay. I so much appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to come on live or replay. If you have any questions, feel free to hit Melanie up on the replay on the comment section, or you could PM me or Melanie Procter through a private messenger. And Melanie is going to be back on the show. As she mentioned, she's got some questions for Dr. Q. So
Yes.
She's going to come on. It'll be a panel, more of a panel. Dr. Q will be the main guest, special guest, and Melanie and I will be here to listen and learn. He's basically like a molecular scientist.
Yeah.
He speaks the language that when I listen to his YouTube videos and listen to some of the conferences that he's participated in,
Yes.
for a common guy like me, I get lost pretty early on. He speaks language typically that is very difficult for me to follow. However, the conversation we had today was very, very real, very authentic. Just the kind of man that is a welcome guest on Real Men, Real Talk Raw. So he'll be on next Tuesday, a special evening edition at 6 p.m. West Coast time. I'm gonna invite you to, if you have any parting words or thoughts about intermittent fasting that you'd like to share that for the audience can take away, and then I'll close the show out.
Well, I think the best, I think what I've been telling people, for some reason I've been on shows lately. Luckily, it's been great. And I just tell people, I'm like the queen of WhatsApp. I know Americans don't use it very much, but for me, it's very easy to organize my contact information. And I give my phone number on WhatsApp to everybody. And I say, just leave me a voice message or a message writing your questions. I like voice messages because it helps me to hear where people are at. Because sometimes people just say, should I do this? Should I do that? And when I actually hear their voice and hear their belief system and where they're at, I can recommend things better.
Okay.
And so I'm willing to take any kind of health question. As at a health retreat, you take all kinds of health issues. I know where to refer people, just like in your case, when I wanted to find somebody who I thought would be better to monitor or make recommendations on a long-term water fast. So if anybody wants to ask me any sort of question, my WhatsApp number is 1-727-219-8023, and that's 1-727-219-8023. And I'm happy to take any kind of questions at all. And then this way we can make it very, very personal. We can have a lot of back and forth so that I can just really be there for you. And I'm really glad that the technology allows me to do that. Everyone's like, don't give your contact out, but it's very easy. The technology makes it so easy. So anyway, and if you're interested in Phuket Cleanse, take a look at our website, and we will be more than happy to help you there. And if you write to the reservations team, they will help you get the best deal for whatever it is you want to experience or do. Yes.
Last plug, I'd like to invite you to share with our community tonight. From my understanding, you are in town because you are part of an event, a world tour.
Yes.
Jessica Ahlstrom was a guest on my show last Sunday. She
Yes.
was my first female guest on Real Men, Real Talk Raw, and it was an amazing show.
Yes.
And I tell you, if I lived in Miami, or if I was able to fly long distance right now, I'd be there. It's a show coming up. You're in the United States. Tell us why you're here and what part of that show you're going to be part of. And is it too late to get tickets? I don't think it is.
No, it's not too late to get tickets. It's first of all in the most glorious location right on Miami Beach at a great time of year here in Florida. It's at one of the nicest hotels I've ever been to, and I'm in the hotel business, and I'm always searching for great hotels. But the concept is, and it's a very brave concept. She's doing a DNA activation, and just as I started this talk when I was saying that I had noticed from fasting, I seem to have ascended-like qualities, and that's what a DNA activation is. The idea of a DNA activation is to activate DNA to be able to express more ascended type qualities. And that's what the event is about, is using a number of technologies and experiences to activate DNA over the course of a few days. So it's a big promise, and she's ready to deliver, and she has the right people there, and she's been working on it for a long time. So it's like you're going to go in, and it's going to be a spiritual and coaching experience. It's going to be amazing. I mean, can you imagine going to a weekend and they're promising you that you're going to go in the door with, and then come out with a DNA upgrade? And she's absolutely ready and capable to do it. So
It sounds a whole lot easier than a 30-day fast, I'll tell you that.
Hey, well, you're right in the middle of a DNA upgrade. You probably started to experience that very early on. Yeah, it
so
is.
Are you part of the event, or are you coming in as a guest?
No, I'm a speaker.
That's what I'm
a speaker. Yeah, I'm gonna be speaking, and I'm gonna be leading people through some breath work, meditation. So using
What's your topic? What are you gonna be speaking on?
What is DNA activation? And when have we seen it historically, and where is it happening, and where are we seeing people, this is what's really this is really a fascinating topic, and maybe why don't I come back on and talk about that, because it's an unbelievable story, and maybe the best story ever told, where I'm looking at people in communities that have actively committed to DNA upgrades before, DNA activation before, to improve, to massively speed up their evolution as a human, and to massively take on these ascended-like qualities, like cities, like I'm talking about. So it's existed throughout history, and I'm going to show you that through art and what these communities have actually achieved in doing that, and also where it's happening today, and where people are successfully and purposely and planfully having DNA activations, and what are the gifts of the spirit that they're embodying, and where is that going. And so I'm going to talk about that, and then also lead people through some of this kind of work, through breath work and things like that.
And what's the name of the event, so we can post it right now?
It's called Quantum Revolution with Jessica Ahlstrom.
So if you're in Florida, or if you're in driving distance from the southeast,
yes,
you want to have a shift in your life,
yes.
What are the dates of this event?
So it's not this coming weekend, it's the following weekend. And I just recommend people go onto YouTube and type in Jessica Ahlstrom and listen to her talk. She's addicting. You'll be binge listening to her for days. But she really helps people to have revolutions in their life. But this is a whole weekend of that. So I'm excited. I would love to come back and talk about what we achieved in that weekend, and talk about DNA activation and how people can do it, and where they can look to get more information on it to be able to do it.
I'd like that too. Why don't you keep in touch with me, and when it feels right, just PM me and we'll set it up. It could be we pretty much, on special events like this, special shows, we just come on when we feel it's the right time. We don't have to have a set day and time like I do for the show that I host. So it's when it works.
Yes, well, thank you. Anyway, congratulations to you. You're just a great model of what's possible for humans, and it's super exciting to watch. And I'm very excited about next week having Dr. Q with us and learning.
Right, so we're going to be old friends by next week.
Yes.
It's like we broke bread without bread.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just full of liquids here. And then we'll have to have him talk about water. He is the expert on water. I've got all kinds of waters here, but Dr. Q, this is the man who's going to talk about water.
Beautiful. He actually just sent me an email. It just popped on my screen. Not from his assistant, but he just sent me a personal email. So in any event, thank you so much for joining me on the show tonight as a special event show.
Yes.
Talk about intermittent fasting, long-term fasting, and continuing the conversation next week with Dr. Q. On a side note, my next broadcast of Real Men, Real Talk Raw is going to be coming live this Sunday afternoon, 12:30 Pacific Standard Time, 2:30 Central, 3:30 East Coast Time. Justin Bauer will be my guest. Justin Bauer is a retired professional tennis player that played on the ATP Tour in the United States. He was born and raised in South Africa. He is today he is a mental coach. He is writing his first book on mental coaching. He coaches young people, students that are looking to reach their peak performance and achieve very high goals in life, like in sports. And that's his background. He lived in sports. He spent his waking days and nights on a tennis court, not doing what most other kids do or did or do. And so he's going to come on. He's going to share his story. And he's a man of 9 lives, like a cat. He's an entrepreneur that just keeps reinventing himself, because this is a man that has got such tremendous wisdom and understanding of what it takes to be mentally and emotionally, physically, and spiritually prepared to reach peak performance in life.
Yes.
And so that's a show you're not going to want to miss. I'm excited to have Justin Bauer on this Sunday. We'll see you Sunday. If you can't make it, catch us on a replay. Thank you so much for being here tonight live. We'll see you next Tuesday night, 6 o'clock. Take care.
Good night.
Good night.